And burial is taking place today for 7 miners who died last week after a blast at a remote mining area in the Upper East region. We have details of the burial for you shortly, but in the studio with me will be Justice Baidu, who's been to the area, and he will help us look at the dangers of mining there. Well, Justice has a piece together. We can watch that piece, and when we come back, we'll have that conversation.
Tears of a mother remembering a deep sense of loss. This is Ayimpok. Just 3 days before I met her, her 14-year-old son, Abu, fell into a gold mine pit, hit his head to a rock, and died instantly, more than 500 meters underground. Her son was one of hundreds of child miners digging for gold in mine sites locally known as Galamsey in the Talensi district.
The last time he came home was a Saturday. When he was approaching home, he mentioned my name from afar. I said my son is home. It was a happy time. I had missed him, so we talked. He even gave me 5 cedis when he was going back into the mines. He even gave the little children in the house money. All these are the reasons why I miss my son.
At the cemetery where he was buried, the boys who knew him in the Galamsey site have come to see his grave and pay homage. Such deaths are common in many Galamsey sites across Ghana, but as several of these sites are run illegally, many fatalities go unreported for fear of a government clampdown. Back in the Galamsey site where Abu died, many children are still hard at work. Many have fallen out of school, like 17-year-old Francis Asisandan.
I left school when I was in class 3. There was no money. If I had the opportunity, I would stay in school.
In this region alone, more than 20,000 children of school-going age are out of the classroom, and some of them could be found in places like this one, dangerous mine sites, risking it all in search of gold. Here, there are only 2 rules: get rich quick or die trying. David Pualua works with child rights campaign group Africate. When his organization did a census of miners in Galamsey mines in the Talensi Napdam district alone, they counted more than 3,000 children.
From our experience, we believe that parents are largely responsible for what we're experiencing in the mines. We still have instances where parents wake up in the morning and then they call their children and ask, oh, I need 5 cedis to go and maybe to do something, to buy food or to drink pito or something. And you think the best person to ask is to ask your child to give you money.
Even though enrollment figures have gone up, record numbers of children are now dropping out of school, with more than 500,000 children of school-going age now in hazardous jobs nationwide. It seems not even death could deter these children from these mines. Leaves you wondering what else will. Justice Baidu, JoyNews, Talensi, Upper East Region.
Well, Justice Baidu did that report, that story, and he is in the studio with me. He'll tell us first about this place and the kind of Galamsey activity or mining activity that goes on there, seeing that we're talking about clamping down on this activity. Justice, you're welcome. So tell us more about this place and the kind of activity, mining activities that go on there.
So elsewhere in places like the Western region and the Eastern region, Galamsey activities are all usually on the surface, done on water bodies that then goes to affect the rivers and then the plantation. But then in places like the Upper East and the Upper West, where this new accident has happened, such mines are done deep underground, sometimes going beyond 500 meters deep and underground. And so usually they would use dynamite to blast the rocks underground, so then they would be able to have access to the ore where they then wash to have the gold. And so what we are learning from this new disaster is that it happened on Thursday, and that the blast had happened overnight. People had gone down the mine to find the ore, and as it does happen, the poisonous gases from the dynamite gets inhaled by hundreds of such people. They are rushed to the hospitals, and some of these deaths happen. So what?
I understand you have an update on
yes.
the recent one.
So we are told that the police is now there trying to find more information, getting to meet the miners to know what exactly happened. But this is the issue, that these mines are really far off from the bigger cities where the police is available, media coverage is also available, and so most of such activities and deaths go unreported, and several of such deaths happen almost on a weekly basis. But because these sites are most of them run illegally, getting that media attention then also come with a government clampdown, which they do not want, because then they are put out of work and they can't get on with this. And so there's been a lot of work that has been done in the Talensi Napdam area, where this is huge, over the years, to try and get people out of the Galamsey, most of them being children. But then the root cause of this is that poverty is rife in such areas, and so it seems to be an endemic problem that needs addressing.
Okay, well, let's speak with Raymond Ayene. Raymond Ayene is with Africans, and they have been dealing with the children who are involved in this mining activity in that part of the country. Hello, Raymond.
Hello.
We're seeing an accident occur. We're seeing a number of people lose their lives. To what extent is this situation not irreversible? I mean, how is it that it's able to just keep going on? And even up until this point, people just can't seem to be deterred by the number of people who are dying out of this.
Thank you very much. Actually, this incident isn't new, and it's not going to be the last until the right measures are put in place to regulate the way mining is done in some of our communities. From the stories that I've heard, working in the place for more than 10 years, the experience that we have as an organization is that a lot of people don't observe safety measures in the way they go about mining. We are told that there was a blast in one of the shafts, and because of the linkages between the various concessions, there were some people mining at a different concession, but the smoke or the dust and the chemicals from the blast went through their source of air, and they inhaled the smoke, what they typically call smoke. And as a result of that, most of them died of suffocation. Africans has always held the view that mining is not a place for children, and that is why we have worked over the years to stop children from going into the mine.
But that doesn't seem to be going down, because we still see them there. People are dying. With this latest blast, they're still there.
Yes, until all the stakeholders, like the Minerals Commission, especially the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission, the EPA, the District Assembly, until we work together as a team to rid the minds of children, and even the miners themselves. Because if a child is going down yourself, despite all the awareness that we have done, all the involvement of the miners to let them understand the risks that children are exposed to working in the mine, there are still pockets of children working in the mine.
Okay.
And we hope that this will be a call to all of us to work together to be able to address this situation in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much. Raymond Ayene is with Africus, and thank you as well, Justice, for that update on that. But we do know that those who were involved in that accident are being buried today. Well, today we also keep a lot more focus on mining because it's just 9 days to go for the government's ultimatum to illegal miners to evacuate. Well, there's a new supporter of that campaign. The Africa Center for Energy Policy is the latest to declare support for the fight against galamsey. We'll be speaking to them shortly, but the Progressive People's Party has given government a 3-month ultimatum to stop illegal mining, failing which they will drag the president to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Here is National Chairman Ni Aluse Brew Hammond.
We are giving the Akufo-Addo-led government a 3-month ultimatum to stop galamsey operation in Ghana. Failure to do so shall compel us to drag him to the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity.
Well, it appears that something is being done about the situation. Let's bring you an update on the prosecution of some Chinese illegal miners arrested at the Ankobra River. Francis Waja joins me with the latest. Hello, Francis.
Yeah, hi, Gipsy.
Francis, today these people were processed for court, actually taken to court. What happened in court?
Okay, so Gipsy, they were in court today. As I speak to you, the court has still not entered into the fact of the matter, as in they've not heard the case itself, basically because there was no certified interpreter in court today to be able to interpret what these Chinese had to say through their lawyer and subsequently to the court. So what it means is that they could not hear the matter, and then it has to be adjourned to the 24th of April. Well, the lawyer for the accused, that is Stephen Alewaba, expressed disappointment. He felt that the court should have been able to provide such a certified interpreter to have been able to handle the case. So as I speak, the matter itself is yet to be entered into.
I see. So is court over as we speak?
Exactly. Court is over. The case was called in the morning around 10:45 a.m. And so court is over now. And but what again needs to be told is that the lawyer made a case for the Chinese to be granted bail. The judge, His Lordship Edward Amuako, asked to refuse the bail. Again, he put another request that the 5 Ghanaians, if for nothing at all, should be granted bail because they are only employees of one of the 5 Chinese.
Okay.
But the judge again also refused bail. So they will all go back into police custody till the 24th of April.
I see. So what it means is that they are going to go back into remand.
Exactly. They are being remanded until the 24th of this month, hopefully next week.
Were there any identifiable Chinese there to support them, say people from the Chinese embassy here in Ghana?
Well, not known faces, but there were a few Chinese. I could not tell by their nationality, but by their look, I could say that I saw some few who were in court, as well as families of the 5 other Ghanaians who were arrested alongside these Chinese from the Elembele district of the Western region were also in court to lend some support.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis Waja, there with that update for us on those Chinese who were arrested alongside some other Ghanaians for engaging in illegal small-scale mining. Well, we'll be getting, we understand that there's a high-profile government delegation in Akwetia, one of the eastern region towns where galamsey is rife as well. Maxwell Agbagba is there for us. We don't have him at the moment, but we'll try and raise him back on the line. But let's look at the dynamics of the Chinese-Ghana relationship and the very thin line between diplomacy and the destruction that we're seeing right now being caused to our water bodies. On the telephone line now with me is Dr. Lloyd Amwa. He's acting director of the Asian Studies Center at the University of Ghana. Thank you, Doc, for your time here on The Pulse.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Okay, Doc,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, over the weekend, actually on Friday, there was a PRO from the Minerals Commission who hinted that there has been a letter from the Chinese embassy here in Ghana to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources about how they perceive that their nationals are being treated here in Ghana. If you look at what's happening with the Galamsey issue, what are the chances of the relationship between the two, the bilateral relationship between the two countries, China and Ghana, in the wake of the Galamsey issues and how we're looking to clamp down on it this time round?
Well, I think that this has been a very long and enduring relationship that is over 50 years old. The relationship has been tried and tested, and it has stood fairly well the test of time. I mean, if you go back into the 60s, in the era of Nkrumah, the relationship between Kwame Nkrumah himself and Mao Zedong, who was the leader of China, and also between him and the then foreign minister of China, you know, the relationship has always been very, very cordial. Of course, it was tested, you know, after the overthrow of Nkrumah, when, you know, there was some degree of animosity towards the Chinese, leading to eventually the closure of the Chinese embassy in Accra. But later on, this was restored. And then, at least in the early 80s, during the Rawlings era, the relationship kind of was placed on some kind of fairly solid footing. I recall that in the literature, the then chairman of the PNDC visited China and interacted with the now particularly famous Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping. And in fact, there was a military parade in honor of Chairman Rawlings. Fast forward to the era of Kufuor, I think those were the golden years of the relationship between China and Ghana, where I think that President Kufuor's pragmatism ensured that, you know, a lot of successes were chalked between the two countries. And in any case, Ghana has been there for China, and indeed, when the Chinese had problems with the United Nations, where they were asked to more or less not to be part of the Security Council, Ghana was part of the process, and we cast a vote that allowed the Chinese to retake their seat after the defeat of the Kuomintang.
So here is a relationship that goes way back, and so both sides are looking to maintain it and to keep it going. But here is also a problem on our hand where we're trying to deal with illegal small-scale mining, and we're seeing a lot of Chinese people engage in it, even though some of the companies are being fronted by Ghanaians. We know that the Chinese are deeply involved. You have studied the Chinese and the way they do their things. What will they do? What are they inclined to do in situations like this?
Well, I think that at the level of diplomacy, I think they'll be sober, they'll be reflective, they'll take their time, they'll read the situation. I do not expect them to take any unilateral action based on emotions and that kind of thing. I think that they are engaged in the matter. The Ghanaian authorities are also apprised and seized with the matter. So I predict that there will be some high-level interaction at the level of possibly the foreign ministries and going further up at the level of the higher state levels in terms of at the level of the presidencies of both countries.
I see.
I think that there has to be some consensus, a consensus that will say that, look, the Republic of Ghana is not happy. Her people are not happy with the destruction of our lands and our water. This affects our supreme interest, and therefore we want to take all necessary measures to deal with this problem. And that within that construct, the Chinese must understand the situation and play their part at the level of handling their citizens and their influx into our country, letting them understand that we have laws and that these laws must be applied in the same way Ghanaians would have Chinese laws applied to them. I think once there's that interaction, and I think there will be, there will be some useful consensus that will lead to a settlement of the matter that will be mutually beneficial to both sides.
Well, now that you said what has to be done, how can we do it? How can the country do it without necessarily, and do so strategically, without necessarily hurting the bilateral ties that the country has with the Chinese, but also not compromising on, you know, some of these legal issues?
Yeah, fantastic question. I think that so far the Ghanaian authorities have shown the way. They've given 3 weeks ultimatum, which is fair, which means they didn't go gung-ho and didn't go at it without alerting the other side. So there's a 3-week kind of moratorium, if you like, which means that within that time space, the Chinese involved in this would definitely have the context and the time to look at their engagement in this illegal trade. That said, it means that, you know, we are trying to deal with the matter, but deal with it in a lawful, legal way. I think that some interactions are still going. You said that there's a Ghanaian high-level delegation that has gone to I think, is it Akwetia,
yes,
right?
Please.
Yes. So all of these things, and I expect that the Ghanaian authorities would use backdoor channels, high-level diplomatic channels to let the Chinese know, let them be aware of the key steps we are taking at this point in time. But I think that the position has been made very clearly that we intend to have a comprehensive plan to deal with this matter. The Chinese say they are also interested in not allowing their citizens to be part of the process and also to cooperate. You know, so I think that we have a key, fairly well base upon which to interact. Of course, there will be some misunderstanding here and there, but I think that generally the terrain has been laid out, and I don't expect that the relations, the very deep fraternal relations between the two countries would be unnecessarily rankled over this. I
say hopefully so, but already we've seen that we understand that they sent a letter, and in that letter, I'm not really sure of the details of the letter, but it appears that they are not happy with that disposition. Is this something that you want to go to the table, to the negotiating table with, or is it something that the Ghanaian authorities will also have to sit up and say, look, we'll say this and we'll stand by it?
Of course, we have to be firm, and the Ghanaian authorities so far are showing that they want to be firm. Of course, they are unhappy. We too are unhappy. Yeah. You know, so there's parity in terms of the negotiation. But we feel the brunt more. This is our land. These are our waters. These are our republic. The government in place has a duty under the constitution of our country to protect every inch of our territorial space and integrity, and to use any lawful means necessary to do so. And I think the Chinese understand that. The Chinese, throughout their history, have defended every inch of their territory. I mean, issues of the White China policy, which in Ghana we take very seriously. It's a typical example of our you know, clear-eyed view of the Chinese interest in matters which border on their national interest. We have supported China. We have made sure that we have not in any way at any point in time granted Taiwan any kind of diplomatic respect, if you like. And so I think the Chinese also would see that this matter lies at the very heart of the survival of our country. Yeah. Of course, if we do not have water and our lands are polluted, how do we transform our country the way they also did? You know, so I think that they will understand the situation. They are reasonable people. They have a long history of statecraft and diplomacy, and I think that they will understand it. Of course, they've written a letter. Yes, I mean, on the face of it, they are unhappy. Of course, we'll take that into account. We are a nation of laws. There's a constitution, and I think the government has given an undertaking that there's no way any Chinese will be hurt or manhandled in this matter. We'll use the law and apply it.
In the unlikely event that diplomacy breaks down, what next can government, what other option is available to the Ghanaian government?
Well, I mean, that's a long shot looking at the breakdown of diplomacy. I don't see it. But of course, we are a nation. We are independent. We are a republic. we should be ready to face the worst case scenario.
Okay.
Well, we want to protect our land at all costs and our water, and I think we are ready to bear the cost, whichever cost that it brings. Yes, and in that sense, I don't see us recoiling or if you like, backing down, and we shouldn't.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc, for your time here on the show. Dr. Lloyd Amwa is the acting director of the Center for Asian Studies at the University of Ghana. Well, let's go on the ground where we understand that a high-profile government delegation is in Akwatia, one of the eastern region towns, which has been ravaged by illegal mining activities. Maxwell Agbaba is our man on the ground. Hello, Maxwell.
Yeah, hello,
Maxwell, what has the minister and the entourage been doing since they got to Akwatia?
Well, let me give some background to the deputy minister in charge of lands and natural resources. Well, some years ago, there were issues regarding diamond mining in Africa and how some unscrupulous persons are using proceeds that they get from the sale of diamonds. They use it in funding and nefarious activities. Some of them use it in buying ammunition and using that to fund war, basically. So there was a system known as the Kimberley Certification Process Scheme, which was instituted in January 2003 to stop illegal dealings in diamond. And what is happening today is that there will be a review. That team will be visiting Ghana from 17th to the 21st of March. And Ghana would have to meet all the requirements that we are dealing, legitimately in diamonds. So this is part of the preparatory process to welcome that team. So what the deputy minister in charge of lands and natural resources is doing basically is touring some places in Akwatia where they mine diamond to find out for himself how they are going about it. Of course, some issues regarding Galamsey have also come up during the tour, even though he continuously tells us that it's not really a Galamsey tour today. In fact, I personally asked him a question about what they are doing to clamp down on the nefarious activity of some of these illegal miners. He tells me that they are very determined to clamp down the practice, and they will continue unabated. In fact, he told me that they had intelligence this morning that about 50 earth-moving machines and excavators were seen on the Prestia Road this morning. And he says that indicates that the illegal miners are...
Illegal mining activities are ongoing there.
Yes, but he says that the 50 machines and excavators that they saw from their own intelligence, it means that those illegal miners are actually moving from their site, moving from their site and leaving.
So are they there are they there to effect any arrest, or they're just there to, assess the situation, to basically look at the destruction caused to the water bodies and to the lands, etc.?
Well, basically what he's doing is to assess the situation. He tells us that the ultimatum that they gave to the illegal miners will elapse, and when that deadline comes, then what it means is that they are moving in with a task force. So today, basically reviewing, going around and checking for himself exactly what the situation is. But
so it's more like a warning sign, would you say?
Exactly. Actually, in a way, we came across the Brim River and Gifty. It's a pathetic sight. I mean, the Brim River, hitherto beautiful river, now turned brownish. And I was actually shocked myself.
And Maxwell, we know that he's assessing the situation basically and sort of giving them a warning sign that we're coming to get you in a few days if you don't get out of here. How has the response been? Have you been meeting any illegal small-scale miners there, or even the registered small-scale miners there? What has the response been like so far?
Well, today the visit was to the Great Consolidated Diamonds Limited. They have the permit to actually mine diamond and then gold. So we went on their concession this afternoon, and in fact, I must say that they are using, the best practice there on that particular concession. In fact, they took us to one of their lands, and they had mined diamond on that particular land for a period of 7 years. But now they have tried their best to reclaim the land. So if you go now to that land that was previously mined, it's now a palm plantation and a cassava farm. And it tells us that this is what other miners are also supposed to be doing. In fact, when you go there, they put up mechanisms to ensure that the activities would not,
damage the environment.
Would not, pollute the Brim River, which is very close to where they are, doing their own mining. So it tells you that for Great Consolidated Diamond Limited, they are doing something proper there on their side. But I can't say same for the others.
Okay, thank you very much, Maxwell Agbagba. There is with the Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, and they are in Akwetia, so to speak, assessing the situation, telling them or giving them the warning sign, according to our correspondent, our reporter there, that they're coming to get them in a few days if they don't stop their activities. Well, we're still expecting President Akufo-Addo to speak at the or to address the media at the end of their 3-day retreat somewhere in the Pejase Lodge. He and his ministers have been there, and you do know that gradually the 100-day is we're inching towards the 100 days, and so we understand that they've been in a retreat over the weekend, and he's expected. As you can see there, it's all set. The place is all set for that media engagement, and the president will be telling the media what they have come up with from their retreat.